a dog who hated cats, a kitten who had a 5% chance of surviving her first night, and a woman who somehow thought bringing them together was a perfectly reasonable idea. Spoiler, it was. This is the story of Anita and Ocho, the most unlikely siblings in Alicante, Spain. Let's start with Ocho because he was rescued first. This endlessly charming little dog was found abandoned in a garbage container. His human mom, Adriana, had been looking to adopt a puppy for a while, and when she saw his photo, it was instant love. Now, Ocho is the kind of dog who has a big personality, loves being around other animals, and approaches life with the confidence of someone who has never once doubted himself. There was, however, one firm rule in Ocho's world, one hard line he refused to cross: cats. As far as he was concerned, cats were a separate and deeply untrustworthy species, and he wanted absolutely nothing to do with them. He had lived with foster puppies before, welcomed them into the household with open paws, but cats? Absolutely not. That was his position, and it was non-negotiable. Then Adriana brought Anita home. Anita's story begins in the most fragile way imaginable. Adriana found her when she was less than a day old. She took the tiny kitten straight to the vet, and the prognosis was not encouraging. 5% chance of survival, they said. 5%. Most people would have braced themselves for the worst. Adriana instead decided to fight for that 5% with everything she had. And Anita, for her part, seemed to agree. She really, really wanted to live. In those early weeks, Anita was so small and so fragile that she couldn't walk. She could only crawl, dragging herself along on her belly, which earned her one of her many nicknames, La Gusanita, meaning the little worm. She also picked up the nickname La Gato Lagarto, meaning the lizard cat, for the same reason. It wasn't just her baby age. Her legs were a problem. 2 out of 4 worked the way they were supposed to. The other 2 did not. It meant she had to be kept slim to reduce strain on her limbs, so the vet recommended carefully managing her diet. But despite everything, the odds, the legs, the very uncertain first nights, Anita kept fighting. She kept crawling and demanding food, attention, and general participation in the household. Now back to Ocho and his famously anti-cat stance. When Anita first arrived, something unexpected happened. Ocho, the dog who wanted nothing to do with cats, took one look at this tiny, fragile creature and understood immediately that this was something different. He didn't quite know what this creature was yet, but he understood she needed protecting, and he became a calming presence around her. And by the time he figured it out, it was too late. He was already too invested. Adriana's theory is that at some point, Ocho simply decided that the best solution was to convince Anita she wasn't a cat at all, that she was a small, weird, purring dog, but a dog nonetheless. And Anita, who had no prior cats to compare herself to and a big fluffy dog as her primary role model, went ahead and believed him. The result is a cat who behaves almost entirely like a dog. She goes to the beach and explores parks. She wears a harness and trots alongside Ocho on outdoor adventures. She learned to play in the sand, and she goes to terrace cafes. She has, by all means, fully adopted the lifestyle. Of course, these two are also siblings in the most classically chaotic sense of the word. Anita, despite her 2 functional legs and her gentle beginnings, turned out to have an attitude that is 100 out of 10 and accelerating. She bites Ocho's ears. She steals his toys. She eats his food whenever the opportunity presents itself. She went from a creature everyone was desperately praying would survive the night to a tiny tornado of destruction, mischief, and calculated chaos, and she is very good at all of it. Ocho, meanwhile, has maintained throughout all of this that he is the senior sibling, the protector of the household, and a serious and dignified dog who absolutely does not enjoy sleeping curled up with a cat. Except that he does. He has been photographed doing exactly that, many times. The evidence is irrefutable. They also formed some kind of a union to address household injustices. Their shared complaints include, why can't each one eat the other's food, the unfairness of one getting a bath while the other also gets treats, and the deeply questionable decision-making of their human when it comes to toy distribution. These are serious matters, and they take them very seriously, most of the time. When Anita celebrated her 6-month birthday, it was not a small thing, given that early 5% prognosis. She had a proper celebration: friends, her favorite humans, a trip to the beach, a piñata, and gifts. Ocho gave her kisses and then immediately reclaimed the toys. A completely reasonable response. By this point, any pretense of a temporary arrangement had long since dissolved. Adriana, who had initially told herself this was just fostering, that Anita would eventually be adopted by someone else, acknowledged what had been obvious from very early on. Anita had already decided. This was her house. These were her people. This was her dog brother. There was never really any other outcome. Anita is now living with her family, and she and Ocho have gone on to share quite a life together. They've explored nature reserves and met some very strange animals. They've visited animal conservation centers. They've celebrated friends' birthdays and attended beach season openings. They navigated a house move together, which resulted in losing the beach-adjacent location, but gaining a dog park nearby, a trade Ocho has accepted with grace because the dog park has its own rewards, namely treats and the opportunity to show off his tricks. Through all of it, they have become better together. Anita is Ocho's warm, purring little sister, and occasionally his violent little alarm system. Ocho is Anita's protector, her playmate, and quite possibly the reason she decided that life outside was worth exploring at all. The dog who despised cats now lives his best life with one that he considered the best friend in the whole wide world. The kitten who wasn't supposed to make it through the night now charges across sand dunes and surveys beach terraces with the quiet authority of someone who has absolutely nothing to prove. And in the middle of it all is one very lucky human who gets to watch them every day and still can't quite believe how perfectly it all worked out.